Well, I think our overall impressions was that it really worked very well indeed, and I think in the old familiar way, if we could have bought it at the beginning of the tournament, we'd have bought what we got. We learned some things, of course. We didn't get absolutely everything right, but we thought here that the coverage looked terrific. It brought an entirely new look and, if I might say so, dimension to Wimbledon and centre court, and we were pretty satisfied. We're always looking to improve our coverage. I mean, this was the site of the very first colour transmission in the United Kingdom, for example, of anything, let alone sport. Up here on the Broadcast Centre roof, we now have our Live at Wimbledon studio. For the very first time, we now have our own online channel, which is both a television and a radio iteration, which has replaced the old Radio Wimbledon, though we're doing much the same service, with Mats Wilander and with Annabelle Croft presenting. That's a real innovation for us here, and we've been very pleased with that as well. We're always looking at new technical innovation. I think probably because of the site here, because we have so little facilities, so little size available, we're probably looking at the technology of more remote cameras elsewhere. We've got 2 remotes, for example, outside the player's entrance for the first time this year, rather than a cameraman standing there with a cabled camera only being used occasionally. We now have the 2 remotes. Everybody in the place who takes all our feeds can actually get those pictures all the time. So we think remotes may be the answer to a number of our space issues.
We've just had the Euro, and a lot of the spider cam technology seems to be very popular. Do you think that would lend itself to tennis coverage here at Wimbledon?
We are investigating our aerial cameras. We have looked at them. I've seen them both at Roland Garros, and I've seen them at other sporting and tennis events. We are actively and seriously investigating it. The problem here will be, I think, that it probably doesn't enhance the feeling and the peace and tranquility, if you like, of the site. But we do think there are places where an aerial wire camera would work, and in fact we're doing some surveys during this championship with a view to perhaps having a trial one for 2013.
And finally, obviously you've got an agreement now with Sony, I think, is it this year or next year, for the 3D coverage. In the 4th year, what will determine whether you continue the 3D coverage? Both Sony and the club are learning very quickly together. Sony are very important partners to us. We will be looking at what we can do together in the 3rd year, but for the moment, with us about to go on air with 3D for the first matches this year, I think, if you don't mind, I'll concentrate on this year and we'll let next year take care of itself later on. I can squeeze one more in if I can, cheekily. Olympics are doing a trial of super high vision again. Is that something you might be trialling in the next couple of years? Yeah, well, we will certainly be looking at that with our host broadcaster, the BBC. Super high vision, I'm really impressed by. I've seen it at a number of the shows. I've seen it at IBC and I've seen it at NAB. I think it's mighty good stuff, and we certainly will be actively encouraging the BBC to look at it in more detail. We would welcome it here.